Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Neremik, welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time we started the trial in case 4, and this time, you can guess it, we're carrying on. Of course, if you ended up enjoying, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And with all that said, I think we're going into the next cross-examination. So, I'll keep believing until the very end, until this battle is over. So yes, these are the witnesses that allegedly saw the crime happen. So, witnesses, please state your name and occupation for the court. Constable Royally Beate, sir. Nothing to report on the streets, sir. And I'm Miss Beate. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say that this young town hero's wife. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honourable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed, apart from our days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check the meters are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our street lights. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet, I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honour. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Miss Beate? That's right, sir. Isn't it, Rowley? Constable Royally Beate, sir. Nothing to report on the streets, sir. What a great witness he's going to be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly how you saw the incident unfold in that afternoon. Yes, sir. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, and the other scattered something before running off. Then we went straight over, of course, and then we went for help at the nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Roy and I both saw him clear as day. Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say. Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed. Into death knell, in fact, because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate changing, and on your wedding anniversary too. Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man, and I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed. Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in a minute. You may well have the time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They testified under oath that it was without doubt that they accused Mr. Sosuke Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense, commence the cross-examination, if you please. Yes, my lord. Okay. So let's bring a hammer down on them. Let's just shut down their lies. So, it was our wedding anniversary and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work, so they were not on the beach. That's important. Anyway, 2 silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. Press that. 2 silhouettes? That's right. They were coming forward towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There's a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume. Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at the time there was nobody else nearby? Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there were streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Of course, there was a white fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's a street light in as well. I didn't see any of the pedestrians. Before sleep takes a firm hold your answer, please, Mr. Beate. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. It's a cop who stands all day every day, keeping watch on our streets. I'd swear to it, sir. As I'm sure, as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. They're still maintaining there was no one else on the around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed? Okay. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, then the other scattered something before running off. And if we can't find anything, I'm going to present that because we know they were stabbed. Scattered something? What do you mean by that? Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realised what it was. Didn't we, darling? What? Ah, yeah, that's right. Some more books. I see, old books. Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed. Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him! It was the man in the dock without any question, sir. Had the moustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Everything! Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying intense eyes, and then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away. I see. This is tough. It seems as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue. Yes, sir! We went straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud rifle one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? Ugh. What? Yeah, that's right. I asked Miss Beate to go. I was off duty by that point. But the Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I thought the boys should stay and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beate. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance. That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on a crime's location, you see. There's 2 deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat of the incident fell under so she could go and report in. I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know. And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of 2 model citizens. Oh, please, you're making us blush, isn't he, darling? Ugh. Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Now, let's move on, shall we? And finally, it was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him clear as day. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? We absolutely could. Our Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know. Right. The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he? Yeah, and what of the fog? Well, famous road across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course. Oh, it is! It is! When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm. Yes, alright, I take your point. And now could you stop shaking your husband about? Huh. The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell for sure and for certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? Huh. What? Ah, yeah. I was accused of a mistake. A mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, snub nose. Unmistakable, sir. As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Sosuke-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? What do you think, Mr. Naruhito? Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Miss Beate saw what they really say they saw. Miss Natsume running from the scene on Briar Road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. Then what do we do? If Kazuma-sama were here? What are you trying to say? I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? The statement about seeing Mr. Satsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury doubt that the pair's memory of the day is accurate. Oh, right. Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavourable conclusion. Why do I always have to seem to be so up against it? Okay, so it was our wedding anniversary. We're going to ask about this. No time to change after work, you say? You also a member of the police, Miss Beate? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. Shooting me down to the ground, doesn't it, darling? Huh? What? Ah, I just finished my beat. Might I rode it back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, Rolly, I much prefer you in uniform. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes I don't even recognise you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy. Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct? That's right, sir, yeah. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. But policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my queen and my city to my end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force on it. As a reminder of all policemen's was sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London Town upon the face of the combat. Sir, for such a noble cause I cover 20 miles every single day without fail, I'm not gonna grumble. Because I know that the pudding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, on just that one particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Beate puts up with a lot of being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife just how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, what a charming couple. A young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. And then, can they describe what happened next? Oh, I want his card thing. Oh, here we go. Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something? Oh, yeah, of course. What is it? Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it. Oh, what? No. Oh, no, it's really not that at all. And my husband's a policeman, remember? I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I can tell the names of every single one. I could. Every single one. This is gonna slip up here, I guarantee. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is? That will do, Miss Beate. No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer had no idea what I'm capable of. Even after I decided to forgive him for insulting us, I don't think for a minute that Rolly will. I really didn't mean to cause offence, but please put your husband's fists down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Miss Beate. Might that appease you? Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? I can even tell you the names of the 4 books he drops at the scene. That's a contradiction. Because there were only 3. So, you're saying that there were 4 books? That's right, I remember all of them. I had the picture of a monster for somebody, lots of yearnings, a meal for someone, and Thingummy something. I'm sorry, Miss Beate, but there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no! What for? Simply the scene of the crime. There are only 3 books, not 4! What? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books. But, no, that can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me. Sorry? It's a big old lump of a dead body. The lady's so large, her corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book, that's all. Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're insulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Miss Beate. But Miss Natsume could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe. Why not? Fascinating. And from your asserted tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume. Evidence. Counsel, you will present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books, and his book receipt only has 3 books on? The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt. From your books? Yes, this receipt details Miss Natsume's purchases that day, but as you can see, only 3 books are listed. No! Therefore, Miss Natsume would only have dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madame, cannot be relied upon. So, it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. No.
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that there are 2 witnesses that saw the accused running from the scene, a fact that you know very well to have no hope of disproving. So, you've striven to divert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? You see right through me. But your plan has somewhat recalled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony, in every respect. No. You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found. But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say... Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand. I don't believe it! It's the fourth book! As you will observe, the fourth book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. Oh no! Oh no! Order! There, you see? Look at that! Look! Yes. It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Miss Beate, the titles once again, if you please. Oh yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other. The picture of Monsieur Lecoq. What's it, yearnings? Canterbury yearnings. A meal for someone. A meal for Gay Borough, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witnesses remember the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Miss Beate's power of observation can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Yes, sir! Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt. Miss Beate mentioned 4. Oh, there's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm so sorry, Counsel, but that does not seem odd. Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipts? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book. I wonder, what became of that 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that to the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, Counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The 2nd crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record, so that's going to be important. And the 4th book has been entered into the court record. Right, that is the same book as in the photo. They're both called The Lion's Pride. The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious long route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's power of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? Oh, I walked right into this, didn't I? You see, everything we've said is true. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. So perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time with this Nepalese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course. And Miss Nardo, I'm afraid we're in a terribly precarious position. I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryunosuke, think! What do you do now? Raise an objection.
Objection.
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There is no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of what to say. If I may, Lord Vadseeks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial system to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Miss Naruto. One of the Swan's greatest guiding principles is tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madame. Now go ahead, Mr. Sato. Please. Very well. Pray what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And you believe this new evidence warrants further examination, do you? Miss Naruto, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible. I agree. So, this. So the lion's pride, Oh. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burned. You're right, you'd never be able to read it in this state. Especially not the latter pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently. Huh. A book. Recently damaged by fire? Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Ho ho. Now that's dead saucy, that. Yes, I understand. And thank you, Mr. Sato. This is it. Sato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been unlocked. There you have it. The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book found in the victim's hand. Objection. We've already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of this court's time, as you well know. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's, Miss Naruto, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence. Which means, you may very well be on the right track. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case which the fourth book conceals? Well, of course, as we know, it is on the back, because it's burned. Oh, okay, we've already read this. It's been badly damaged by fire here, so much you couldn't even read it at all anymore. That's right, such pity. And do you see the flaking edges of the burnt pages, Mr. Naruto? I think that's a sure sign that the damage occurred relatively recently. Which, in case you were aware of the examination we did in this trial, there is a fire that involved some books. I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing. Objection! Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh. But I'd concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert this fire damage as some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? A charred book. There is just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage this sorry tome has suffered? Its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth. About the book's owner. I beg your pardon? Well, we already know who the book belongs to. Ugh, the victim is gripping it in a hand as she fell to the floor roll. It's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly... Very well. I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise, but do remember that the members of the jury may very well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? Well, it's juror number 4, of course. The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Debb, the landlords. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know. But of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Miss Debb herself. Oh my goodness, me? Oh, I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Debb's wife. I'm his maid. Things would be so much easier if you just drop the pretense. Alright then, I have a simple question for you. Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Debb's house? I would never presume to know of the books he keeps, sir. Objection! This is outlandish behaviour. The woman is the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hard-working member of the public, you besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable. This isn't mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mr. Debb's house. Good lord! What sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Right to say it was, happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. Most of it is always my favourite. Book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? By Jove, that's the very same title of the subject of this debate. Oh dear me. Objection. This is risible. All you've done is told the court that a book by the same name was involved in a fire, in which case it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself from the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, I suppose that Mrs. Debb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Debb even amid the flames. Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Rolly? Absolutely not, sir! My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. Well, my favourite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of him, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. And the wife started throwing things at me. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. The man had his back against the window, and he had burning books thrown at him. Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime? Objection! No, a thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted by the very evening of the incident, and there was no report of the Debb's window pane being broken. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Debb household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and... Not even remotely. Let's not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No wonder the window would ever leave one window open in the middle of winter. Does the defense postulate this scenario in all serious, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that this book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Debb's wife? I believe it's a possibility, my lord. That's quite enough! Well, I hope this everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster! You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward! Really? Claiming all little tiff set the whole neighborhood alight? Honestly, implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it, or even necessarily our family's name. No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Tracking up standard sister's name through the mud seems to divert attention from your failing defense. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly forgivable. Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nippany spouting out his fancy Thorin theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, only person who could have possibly stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with a moustache. He ran away from the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Sorry. What's that? Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zieks? In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to save the best vintage. No! Wait. The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... If books are your predilection, my dear friend, then study them in your own time. What? No, forgive the discourtesy this time. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Thank you for that unambiguous response. That's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruto, don't give up. Mr. Sato, have you forgotten? That wasn't over yet. You're not suggesting. Of course, the defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You could still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense has to exercise its right to a summation examination. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve? I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. And there's no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. To be continued. Perfect to end up on them. So, the trial is getting awfully spicy. And we are going to save here, actually. I'll click on Vegas Pro to boot up. But if you have enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I do apologize if my voice was a little bit croaky, but I like to think it made Van Zieks sound a little bit better than normal. But that's everything. So with all said, all that side, I really hope you've enjoyed, and thanks for watching, guys. My name's been Neremik, and peace out.